Hola Year 9, welcome to lesson 12 of the second summer half term. And your title for today's lesson is Mi madre merienda yogurt. My mum snacks on yogurt, or my mum has yogurt for a snack. So here's a list of equipment you'll need for today's lesson. You'll need the exercise book that the school gave you, your knowledge organiser for module 6, which is available on Classcharts, a pen and a highlighter as well. So pause to get that ready now and press play to move on. Please remember to email me if you've got any questions about the activities in today's lesson with Miss Reardon, and here's my email address. Please also make sure that you submit a photo of all the work that you do onto Classcharts at the end of the lesson, but certainly within 2 days to get an achievement point. Copia el título, Mi madre merienda yogur, y la fecha, miércoles el 8 de julio, and underline those neatly in your book. Then write down the objective, el objetivo, which is to describe what others eat during the day and when. So you're going to focus today on using different parts of the meal verbs. Pause if you need to. Okay, for the do now, you're going to conjugate the regular verbs desayunar and cenar, so they're both AR verbs, and comer, which is an ER verb, and that's in the present tense. So pause to do that now and press play to check your answers. Okay, so the answers are all filled in for you here. Remember, desayunar, cenar are both regular AR verbs, so they should have the same ending. And comer is a regular ER verb. I want you to check your answers, paying special attention to the you plural form and the accent, making sure that's on all of the vosotros forms of each of the different meal verbs. Okay, well done, chicos. Pause if you need to now, and then I'll pass you on to Miss Reardon to teach the rest of the lesson. Gracias, adios.
So, chicos, to start off, what I would like you to do, please, is you are going to do a fill in the gaps using the listening transcript. So you'll see that we've got 4 short texts. We've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. We've got some dialogues, and you'll see for each one there are 3 things missing. So you'll see in number 1 we've got A, B and C, number 2 D, E and F, etc. What you have to do is in a moment you're going to navigate to Classcharts and play the recording whilst looking at this, and in your book you're going to write down the missing words. So you see number 1, you'll listen along, it will go ¿A qué hora desayunas tú? Normalmente, and then you'll write down the word that needs to go in A. You don't need to obviously copy and complete the whole text, as that would take you ages. So you're free to pause the video and the recording as much as you need, and rewind the recording as well in case you miss anything, to make sure you fill in as many of the gaps as you can before we move on to the answers. Muy bien, chicos. So remember, you're just writing the words in the gaps, so you can just take a moment now to pause the video and write down the letters A through to L in your books. Muy bien, chicos. Okay, so you're ready to start the task now. Please pause the video and navigate to the recording on Classcharts. Buena suerte! Perfecto, chicos. Let's go over the answers. Okay, chicos, so here are your answers. You'll see that I've marked them in red just to make it a little bit easier for you. So just take a moment now to pause the video and mark your answers. Perfecto. Continuamos. Okay, chicos, so now you're going to use this same transcript, these same dialogues, to fill in this table at the bottom with the correct information. So with the dialogues, we've got 2 people that are talking. We have Zoe and we have Angel. And in the dialogues, they talk about what meals they have during the day. They mention the time that they have each meal, and then what they have for it. So I've given you 2 examples. Zoe, I've said that she has her breakfast at 7:15. And she says that right at the beginning in number 1, she says, Normalmente desayuno a las 7:15. And then you'll need to read along and find the food or foods or drink that she has for breakfast, and you write that in that box. and then you'll work back, fill in that first one for Angel, and then number 2 moves on to lunch. Number 3 is all about snacks, and number 4 is all about dinner, so they're split up in that way for you. Okay, chicos, so please now pause the video and copy and complete the table that's at the bottom. Muy bien, chicos, so let's go through and see how you got on. Okay, so here are the answers. Just want to draw your attention to the snack one for Angel, and he doesn't have a snack. He says, nunca meriendo. I never have a snack. Es que no tengo hambre. So he's explaining that he's just not hungry, basically, when he would have a snack. And just before I let you pause the video and just check through your answers independently, I just want to you to really see that the dinner time in Spain, look how late they're eating. We have Zoe eating at 9:30 and Angel eating at 10 p.m. And I can confirm that is definitely what happens in Spain. I remember feeling always so hungry, 6-7 o'clock at night, wanting to eat dinner, but waiting until my flatmates were ready to eat at 9:30, 10 o'clock. And it took me near on 6 months to get used to that crazy routine of eating so late. So chicos, please now pause the video to check your answers. Perfecto, chicos. Continuamos. So chicos, here is our sentence builder that we were looking at last lesson. And this sentence builder was helping us express what we eat during the day, so using the first person. And you'll see that I've put a red box around the mealtime verb. And this is where we were always saying, so desayuno, I have for breakfast, como almuerzo, I have blah 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 for lunch, meriendo, ceno, all in the first person, expressing what we have ourselves, so the I form of the verbs. So this sentence builder can come in super handy, and we can use it as well to help us express what somebody else is eating during the day, or what, for example, we eat during the day. Desayunamos, we have breakfast, for example. So I want to show you how we do that. All you have to do to talk about someone else is just change the person of the verb in that column. So we started with desayuno, I have for breakfast. We just change it to the third person, desayuna, if we want to talk about he or she. If we want to say they, we want to talk about my parents have something for breakfast, we'd say desayunan. You can see that I've done the same here for having for lunch, comer or almuerza, third person. Merienda, for he or she has a snack. Similarly, we could say meriendan, for they have a snack. And then we've got cena, for he or she has for dinner. And if I wanted to say my friends and I have for dinner, we would just put cenamos. So that is the only bit we need to change of our sentence builder to actually talk about other people. The rest of it can stay exactly the same, and we can just recycle those exact same structures. So chicos, we'll move on to think about this a little bit more deeply, and we'll think about the grammar. Okay, so in your do now, you conjugated all 6 persons of the regular mealtime verbs, desayunar, to have breakfast, comer, which means to eat or have lunch, and cenar, to have dinner. But it's important that you also know how to use all 6 persons of the verbs, almorzar, which is our to have lunch verb, and merendar, to have a snack. So you can use them to say what other people eat at all times during the day. We're not just limited to the ones we did in our do now. So, almorzar, to have lunch, as we've said, merendar, to have a snack. The reason why I've isolated these verbs, and we didn't do them as part of the do now, is because they are stem changing verbs. So we've done quite a bit on stem changing verbs over the course of the year. We've looked at jugar, to play, that's a stem changing verb, and we've looked at soler, to usually or to tend to do something. So just to recap, stem changing verbs, what it actually means is that the stem of the I, you, he, she, and they persons of a verb change. But as we know, we've looked at before, the we and you plural forms never change. Sometimes it's hard to think a little bit abstractly like that. Let's put it in a verb table so you can see. So here I've got my verb almorzar, first of all, to have lunch. And in the stem, for the I, you, he, she, and they forms, you'll see that the O changes to a UE, and I've highlighted that in red. And just like our explanation, you can see that the we and the you plural, well, they conjugate just like the infinitive. The stem doesn't change there before we add the amos or the ice. So we and you plural, ooh, nice and easy. Then we've got merendar, also a stem changing verb. And in this case, the E in the stem changes to an IE. You can see I've highlighted that in red. Meriendo, I have a snack. Meriendas, you have a snack. Merienda, he or she has a snack. But then we get to the we and you plural. You'll see that the stem hasn't changed. Just like almorzar, and just like our verbs soler and jugar that we've looked at in the past. And finally, we've got meriendan. They have a snack. You can see we've got the change there because the change comes back in the they form. And that is the same for all stem changing verbs in the present tense. That's what makes them so much easier to remember, that the we and you plural never change. Okay, chicos, so please I'd like you to now copy the grammar point below into your book. So you can start by writing the definitions of almorzar and merendar, then write down about the stem changing verbs, and then finally copy the verb table. And this is when I want you to bring your highlighter into play and highlight the UE in the almuerzo, please, and the IE in the merienda. And then also highlight the nosotros and vosotros, the we and you plural columns and the rows of that table. Okay, chicos, so please pause the video now to do this. Perfecto, chicos. Let's now put this into practice. Okay, so to practice now, you're going to fill in the gaps in these 8 sentences with the correct form of the mealtime verbs. So I've not just given you almorzar and merendar are stem changing. I've also included cenar, to have dinner, and desayunar, to have breakfast. What makes this easier though is actually that all of these are AR verbs. But as I've said, we need to remember to pay careful attention when conjugating the stem changing verbs almorzar, merendar. Make sure you use your verb table as you go along. Let's do number 1 together. Entre semana mi madre gap yogur porque es algo ligero. Now, we know that my infinitive is merendar. We're talking about mi madre, my mum. So if you think about our pronouns, well, my mum would be she. So we need to say she has a snack. She has a yogurt for a snack. So our she form of our verb merendar, as you'll see in your table, is merienda. You'll see that I've highlighted the IE stem changing bit for you there, just to make it super clear. Okay, chicos, I'd now like you to complete, please, 2 to 8, copying and completing the sentences. And pause the video now to do this. Muy bien, chicos. Okay, let's go over the answers. Número 2. Generalmente mis padres cenan pescado con ensalada porque es sano. So cenan, they have dinner. It's our they forms. We're talking about mis padres, my parents. 3. Mis amigos y yo almorzamos una hamburguesa porque es algo rápido. And here you see that we've got our verb almorzar, which is stem changing, but we need to say we because it's my friends and I. And there's no stem change at all in the we form of the verb. 4. Mi bisabuela nunca almuerza, so my great-grandmother, it's our third person, our she form there, porque no tiene hambre a mediodía. 5. De vez en cuando yo, so first person now, meriendo galletas porque son sabrosas. 6. ¿A qué hora tú almuerzas? Again, our UE change because we're talking about the you form, tú. 7. Mi hermana y yo siempre desayunamos. We don't have to think about a stem change there because desayunar isn't stem changing. And finally, mis amigos nunca almuerzan. We have the stem change UE there because that's the they form, my friends. Muy bien, chicos. Excelente. So now what I would like you to do, please, is translate these sentences to English. You can either do that if you left a line between them. You can go back and fill that line in now, or just write numbers 1 to 8 underneath, so you can see that you've got the Spanish and the English all together. Muy bien, chicos. Perfecto. Let's go over the answers. Okay, chicos, so here are the answers to your translations. And as you can see, lots of the vocabulary came from your sentence builder from last lesson and the one that we referred to again today. So please pause the video now and check your answers really carefully. Muy bien, chicos. Okay, so we've made it through to the end of the lesson. Really well done for your work today, and it was really good to give us an opportunity to go over stem changing verbs once again. Because stem changing verbs are only tricky if you don't know how they work. And we do, so we know how to deal with them when we see them. Muy bien, chicos. If you've got any extra time, what I think it would be really cool to do would be to add a paragraph about what someone else in your family eats to your paragraph from last lesson. So last lesson you wrote a really lovely text all about what you eat during the day. Add a third person aspect to it. And I'd really love to see a picture of those as well submitted along with your work from today. Okay, chicos. Have a great rest of your day, and you'll hear from me next lesson. Adios!